Our guest suggests that city councilors ought to be penalized for not showing up. The chair of the Republicans in Providence, Tara Pinsky, is our guest tonight. I don't know how many people she's chairing. That'll be one of my first questions this evening, but she's a little ripped over a Target 12 investigation that showed some major league absenteeism from Providence city councilors. And so we look forward to her perspective, her ideas, and her overall view of what's going on in the city of Providence and beyond. So stay tuned for that. It is a pleasure to have you aboard. Thank you very much for joining My State of Mind each weeknight here at 7:30, repeating at 11:30, and found online at WPRI.com. Just click on the More button and you get more of me. Let's go to the rundown and take a look at what's on tonight. This is complete baloney. This gag order, it's completely bogus. This is a pivotal week for Gina Raimondo. This is a come to yourself week for her. They're still pushing this new non-proposal for the Superman building, front page of the newspaper today. This is a pending decision by the legislature that you've got to pay attention to. And what else do we have on a rundown today? That's kind of an interesting little dynamic, even with the president weighing in on that. And sometimes you just have to know when the people can't stand looking at you anymore. It's kind of dangerous territory for me. As you'll find out on Your State of Mind in our last segment tonight. All right, let's get to a breakdown of my rundown. Gag order of convenience. You know, here's the headline over this very, very pressing matter. The Providence Journal today. After talks is little to say. What talks? Well, the talks that are showcased here by Walt Buteau's story. Take a view.
It was a 90-minute meeting involving Governor Chafee,
the judge is given a gag,
and House and Senate leadership and some of their staff members. Gordon Fox tells us they heard the highlights of the proposed settlement.
On a human scale, digesting it before we can even opine on it. I think I can speak for the Senate President. We need to think about it to see before you even form an opinion.
Details are expected to be released in a Wednesday news conference, and according to the Retirement Board's agenda for its Wednesday morning meeting, the potential approval of proposed settlement will be discussed. Some lawmakers are already concerned about the closed-door 14-month mediation process that led to this proposed settlement.
Nobody elected most of the people that are in those secret sessions. The people did elect myself and 112 other state legislators who worked very hard in a very deliberate, transparent manner.
What does it say about the process you went through in 2011? A gut-wrenching process.
Yeah, exactly.
So what does it say about that? It could potentially just push that out of the way.
To be determined.
The pension legislation cut taxpayer pension liability down to $4.3 billion, froze cost of living adjustments, raised some retirement ages, and created a 401k pension hybrid system.
You know, it's very interesting, Walt's question there to the House Speaker. It could potentially, wipe away the 2011 oh so difficult process. Potentially, he says. It doesn't have to do it at all. The legislature should not be accepting this body of work from the settlement discussions ordered by Judge Sarah Taft Carter. Judge Sarah Taft Carter should have responded to the litigation from the unions that questioned the constitutionality of the pension statute in the following way. I shall review the constitutionality of the pension statute. If it's unconstitutional, the old law kicks back in. If it's constitutional, well, guess what? Live with it. Then there'll be appeal. Then it goes to the Supreme Court. Same review. That's it. That's all that should have happened here. Instead, we've got an activist judge that brought all the lawyers together and all the parties to negotiate the terms of this pension situation, which was already navigated. And the idea that the unions didn't have a seat at the table is a cliche, which is not accurate. It is not true. You know, when the unions win a statutory, like they're looking to get binding arbitration, right? When they win that one, you won't hear them complain that the people weren't at the table. It's a different arena. It didn't mean it wasn't a fair process. Now, if you want to question the fairness of the process and the constitutionality of it, do so. But instead, we have this new deal. Now, the idea that there's a gag order is complete bogus. It's completely bogus. The judge ordered a gag order during the settlement talks. Settlement talks are over. But the governor loves to, I know something you don't know, It's ridiculous. And as far as, the House Speaker and the Senate President learning about the terms of this for the first time, yeah, I got a bridge I'd like to sell you. Don't believe that either. There's politics going on behind the scenes here in a big-time fashion, which leads me now to the next concept, which is this is a pivotal moment for Gina Raimondo. She was the leader of the whole conversation on pension reform. This is her big resume item, right? In fact, she touts it with her latest YouTube video.
When I met Gina, I was surprised at what a kindly, warm person she is. We attended a meeting on pensions, and there were a lot of people, there were some people in the audience who were genuinely upset and genuinely frightened. She handled everyone with such respect and kindness that impressed me.
She brought everybody together, she held public forums, and she put this issue basically on the front page. She had everybody discussing it throughout the state. Everybody's pensions were preserved.
It's true. That's Professor Mark Higgins from URI, a guy who I respect. Here's the thing. Gina Raimondo looks like she's going to be party, right, to this settlement. And I can hear the speech now. I'm recommending the small changes that favor the unions and all that, because although it does put a dent in the unfunded liability progress and adds money to the annual state budget, it's at least a safe, deal between the parties that prevents further litigation and the chance that the first project could have been ruled unconstitutional, reverting us all the way back to the old days, which would put our pension in jeopardy. I can write the speech for Gina Raimondo. When you hear it, if she makes it, no, it's all bunk. She led on this. She knows that the constitutional process should have been reviewed by the judge, and that was the limit. She knows that this has been a perverted process, and if she signs on to it, she has sold her soul to become governor. The intoxication of becoming the governor may be more important to Gina Raimondo than what's right or wrong. Big test this week. Looking forward to what she says. Let's move on. Providence Journal, just wanted to make a quick note of this. I made a note of it yesterday. WPRO had a story yesterday, and then today on the front page of the newspaper, you get this headline, New Pitch to Rescue Superman. I just find it fascinating that the owners of the Superman building, 111 Westminster Street, the beautiful building downtown, which kind of really puts a cap on our skyline, but which, of course, at night doesn't really, because only the top light is slightly illuminated, and the whole building is dark because it's empty, because Bank of America ran out of there. And the guy who bought it at $33 million in 2008, banked on his 110 and 2, scooted. So now there's, a continued conversation about it having to be apartments. I had Joe Piolino, property guy, former mayor, bought the $65 million building next door, all of that. I showed you a clip last night, and he was on the show last week saying, these guys are in trouble. Well, they put a $115 million proposal together last year, which required $75 million of combined taxpayer help from local and state and all of that. And everyone was so afraid of the 38 Studios debacle and all the politics around it, they sent these guys packing on that idea. Now they've come back with a, hey, how about a public-private partnership idea? But there's no money that they haven't made a money ask. When they say, hey, let's get chummy, and there's no money ask, that's when you ought to get worried, because then the transparency thing comes up, and you start to think, what closed-door meetings are happening now to take our money and invest it in saving that building? I'm bullish on saving the building. I want transparency, don't you? Next item. This is a quickie. Driver license hearings were scheduled today, but they actually were postponed, I am told. The headline on the front page of the Providence Journal kind of previews what's happening there. As times change, hope grows for license bill. I guess times have changed. 11 states have said, sure, we will license undocumented citizens, illegal aliens for some of you. 8 states have it pending. We're one of them. Terry Gorman from Rhode Islanders for Immigration Law Enforcement was here last night lamenting this and talking about the ITIN number, which is the tax identification number that you get. Well, he explains how confounded it is.
I think there's going to be some companies that are prestigious in Rhode Island that have a number of these people that are working with ITIN numbers. But I don't think it'll be any legal scrutiny, because it's not illegal. It's illegal to be in the country. It's against the law to be in our country illegally. It's illegal to hire an illegal alien.
Correct.
But if you do, this is what our government tells us, if you do, we'll give you an ITIN number, an individual tax identification number, in lieu of a Social Security number so we can take taxes.
And so you can use the number for your driver's license. Stay tuned for these hearings. This is a very important conversation, and many of you would like to speak up in the public hearings, I'm sure of it. Check the State House. Moving to a national conversation, I just think this is kind of fascinating. Michael Sam is a lineman for Missouri, and ESPN.com has the headline here. He says he's gay. Okay, he's a top round potential draft pick in the NFL, and his announcement that he's gay was received by the President of the United States, the First Lady congratulating him. So his gay status is now something that warrants congratulation. I understand when someone's breaking through, but this is not a Jackie Robinson story, because while he'll be the first out gay man, I guess, in the NFL, he will find a celebration. I guess that's better. I can't wait for the day when these aren't even conversations. I guess you got to have a celebration breakthrough in order to make it okay. Quite frankly, if he can smack you in the face and rush the quarterback, who cares who he's sleeping with? The Giants need a defensive lineman. And finally, you like that one, Rox? Rox like that one. I don't care if you're gay or not. Can you tackle somebody? Come on, man. And finally, Bob, you can't sit there with pink eye. I mean, it takes a real cocky. You got a headline, Jess? I think you do. Bob Costas is getting replaced by Mac Lauer in the Olympics. Whatever. I mean, how many nights would you tolerate pink eye from me? Now he's got it in both eyes. Geez, the Olympics just won't be the same without you, Bob. Hey, listen, how can we miss you if you won't go away? Take an eye drop and get the hell off the set till it gets better. God bless us. To the Republican chairman in the city of Providence, who wants answers and penalties. Stay with us. Alrighty, let us come back. Here's a headline that is, I think, very interesting. Target 12 put this investigation out last week. City council members chronically absent. What? Yeah, look at some of this data, some of the graph work that we put together here from the story. David Sanchez, who we had here on the Davy Lopes pool thing often, misses 24% of the full council meetings since 2011. Another piece of data shows John Igliozzi, he just can't seem to get to those claims committee or public works meetings for a couple years. And then finally, we got old Terry Hassett, who's having a little trouble with those boring Ways and Means and Ordinance Committee meetings. And so it got a response from the Republican chairman of the city of Providence, understandably. Here's the headline there, where WPRI kind of did a follow-up on it. The city GOP wants absent councilman penalized. And Tara Pinsky runs the city GOP. Welcome.
Thank you.
Nice to have you.
Thanks for having me.
What do you want to do? What do you want to do, these guys?
I would like them to be monetarily penalized for not showing up for meetings. They get the most generous salary package of any city or town councilman in the state, twice as much as anyone else. And they need to respect that they're representing not just the constituents that voted for them, but for people like me, a lone Republican, we would like quality representation.
A lone Republican?
Well, there's
A
more.
lonely Republican?
Well,
Sounds like a country music
well,
song.
there's a few of us.
I'm a lonely Republican in Providence. But how about they're making what, $18,000 a year?
$18,765 for a regular councilman, and for someone like a council president, Michael Solomon, or Majority Leader Seth Yurden, they're making around a little under $21,000 without the medical package of a family plan of $15,000, a dental package.
Meaning they do have those packages.
They do. It depends if it's family or single. So they're getting a salary, a medical, dental, cell phone, after 8 years of pension, and some of them life insurance options.
Do you have any Republicans on the council?
No, we do not.
No.
Zero. All 15 are Democrats, so it's a little bit challenging. But we're hoping to have some folks run.
So what is your proposal exactly? What kind of penalty do you want to see?
I would like a monetary penalty. After missing three full city committee meetings, they should have a monetary penalty of some amount.
To make your argument salient, you probably got to post a number. What do you think is
well,
reasonable?
the number I came up with is if there's 36 full city committee meetings on average per year, you take the pay of $18,000. Someone like Davian Sanchez, for missing 3 consecutive meetings, should be start being penalized $521. They don't meet in the month of August, so they meet 11 other months, and 3 to 4 maybe a year, anywhere from 15 minutes. I've been there when I've been in and out. It takes longer to park than it does to.
Are you getting any traction with this complaint?
I haven't heard anything from the Democratic side. I do have to say that the councilman Michael Correa was saying that he thinks that his proposal is if you miss 3 consecutive subcommittee meetings, you should be removed from that subcommittee. So that's where the work's done.
All right, when we come back, we'll talk about whether this actually impacts the good work for the people or not. And I also want to find out what the GOP chairman of the city thinks about statewide and citywide Republican politics. Stay with us. Welcome back. Tara Pinsky runs the Republicans in the city of Providence, and you know it's a thankless job, isn't it? In some ways, right? Because the numbers are stacked against you.
The numbers are stacked against us, yes, but I'm an optimist, and any step forward we can make is better than not doing anything at all.
You got 5,000 registered voters in the city of Providence?
5,000 registered Republicans.
I'm sorry, yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
5,000 registered Republicans amongst the, how many in the city completely total?
I want to say there's like 30 indies and probably 40 to 50 Ds.
Democrats.
Thousands.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one of the challenges you have in actually getting Republicans elected is that you've got the draw the line at the top for Democrats.
Yes.
You know, the master lever, as it's called. It's actually a magical pen, but
right.
if you got rid of that, you could have some candidates breathe a little bit.
Yes, but that doesn't preclude our candidates from working hard, twice as hard as any Democrat. They'd have to get out there and basically say what their message is as a conservative Republican.
You know what you need, and I think this is something that's necessary for every community. You need nonpartisan local elections. I don't think that. There might be a little bit of ideology and policy that you can extract from Democrat and Republican platforms to run a city, but not much, because a lot of it has to do with, look, you can't get water from rock.
Right.
You know, taxes have got to be in line with expenditures. Services, you know, the garbage pail at the end of the street is not a Democratic or Republican garbage pail, right? Potholes are not, right? So that's what you guys ought to be fighting for, seems to me.
More of the city stuff is fiscal. It's all about money, dollars and cents, making things balance. And I would love a nonpartisan election. And there are some quality Democrats that are actually in City Hall. I have nothing against Democrats being in there. There's some that are doing a lot of great work. I'm a Republican because that's the party I align most with. But it would be very helpful for those of us who live in the city to feel like we are represented without having a label attached to us.
How do you view the upcoming mayoral election? It's now got a field of 4 Democrats. Dan Harrop, the Republican, he's a sharp guy, invested, psychiatrist, articulate, but
brown educated,
all that. But he doesn't have the traction to win that race, right?
He's getting some traction. But as the history proves in Providence, it all comes down to the primary, the Democratic primary for mayor. But that's not going to preclude me from supporting Dan Harrop and helping him any way I can. I do think he's the one guy who's talking about the fiscal stuff in Providence. Everyone's talking about, gun taxing and
Brett Smiley's ideas the tax gun sales in order to provide nonviolent support in communities, that kind of thing.
Right.
Typical liberal ideas and presentations. Of course, Buddy Cianci may get into the race. Maybe he's an independent in the general. Maybe he's a Democrat in the primary. Any feel for that? Anything on the ground?
I haven't heard anything, if you're asking me personally, no. I think it's probably going to be a little bit more of a struggle for him. The city's changed since he's been in. And I think it's gonna be a real struggle for the Ds too, the Dems.
Tell me about the statewide race. I mean, your local committee will be important in terms of endorsement. Alan Fung, Ken Block, where does that stand?
We, per our bylaws, do not have to endorse the gubernatorial Republican candidate at all. We are required to endorse our mayoral candidate. However, I will ask the city committee if they want to endorse the gubernatorial candidate, and if we vote on it and choose to do that, then we'll have the
Are
gentleman.
you ambivalent about it? You seem ambivalent.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see what happens. It's a long way away.
What is the primary itself, or
The
just the process by which you might endorse?
Well, both actually. Both are a long way away.
Do you have a personal candidate in this race?
Not yet. I'm going to wait and see who's coming out. Whose plan is going to most align with my values and what I think is better for the state of Rhode
You don't know
Island.
of any other third candidate that might be popping into the governor's race?
I don't. Do
Oh,
you?
okay. No, well, I just, I always have dimes drop, but I thought
Yeah,
I thought maybe you had a Freudian slip there, and you know something that we don't know.
No. I don't know anything else.
All right.
No.
So bottom line, back to the city and your demand for counselors to be accountable. Give me 15 seconds. What's your charge here? What are you trying to say to everybody?
I'm trying to make people aware of what the city councilors are doing and not doing, and they're not representing all of us, no matter what our party alliance is. And we need better representation because we've got a long road ahead in Providence. We are in some dire straits still.
All right. Come back. Good to see you.
Thanks.
Tara Pinsky, she's the GOP chairman in the city of Providence. Your state of mind when we come back. Stay with us.
I think I got.
Your state of mind matters, and here's how we find out about it. You just give us a ring at 228-1886, or you email us at stateofmind@myritv.com, or Facebook post or tweet. And here's the good, bad, and ugly of voicemail.
Your show is too short, half an hour. You got to extend it to an hour if all possible. Thank you very much. Stay off TV and stay out of radio. You are homely.
I'm homely. Well, I'll tell you, the success of this show is not going to be built on this, that's for sure. Thick skin to do this work. We'll see you tomorrow, 7:30 on ITV. Bye.